My real name is Jeff Reese. I paint under the name of Solomon Kane. My work deals with mental illness. It deals with philosophy and religion per se, or at least a philosophy of religion. I actually was a mental health officer for the Harris County Sheriff's Department, or Sheriff's Office actually, and now I'm out on patrol. But I went to art school, and this is more than a hobby for me. I don't consider it, energetic or not energetic. It's kind of like rote, you kind of get in the zone and you're in this other area in your mind and it kind of flows. For me, I use a pen and illustration board. That's my best way. I do canvas, I do mannequins, footballs, you name it, I'll paint it. But I guess my best way is illustration board, and I use a pen and draw it with a permanent line, knowing that it's like life. If I make a mistake, I can't take it back. Something changes in that process, and to me it keeps it more, more honest.
He's got this series now that he calls Jailhouse Diversions, and because he's a cop and he was in the jail, that it amazes me that someone who sees such an ugly side of society makes such incredibly beautiful art.
I guess our work kind of meshes together because her work is very textural.
I'm very interested in color and light. I use acrylic paint. I use brushes. My style is, it's rather thick, but I'm interested in the quality of the light and the vibration and the colors. It's almost like a huge lake, and I see artists dropping stones into the lake, and it creates all these ripples, and the ripples affect each other.
I use bright colors because the subject matter I deal with in my regular job are very serious, to portray a different side of life. Someone that's an artist, it's a necessity. You've got to paint. This is not something that's optional. It keeps me sane, and maybe that's why the crazy things I draw and the images, I think there's maybe a tie down into the psyche of people and how they represent their art.
People tend to move you and also to upset you. My sister Claudia died of stomach cancer back in 2002. She was one of my biggest supporters about my art always. She always thought my art was great, and she always had my art in her house and just cheered me on. And it made me realize that I wanted to paint again, and made me realize that life is short.
Prior to moving to Israel, there was a Hispanic female that came in the store with 3 young children, and she began to scream and she ran, and nobody would do anything, so I came out of the courtesy booth to help her. And of course the guy ran, and with her 3 children, we spent all day, it was a Sunday, and we spent all day trying to find this woman's shelter somewhere, and no one would take her. The Houston Area Women's Center, I mean, it's kind of back in the day, they didn't have a whole lot of beds, and for Spanish-speaking social work, there wasn't a whole lot of services out there for people coming from Mexico. And so the whole time we got a hold of her uncle and her family, and they basically said, tough shit, she's on her own. So I wound up taking her back at 8:30 that night to her husband. And so I thought, wow, that's really affected me as far as one thing. It's like if I had the chance to try and change that, whether, no matter what, I would. And so the Sheriff's Department was hiring one day. And again, at that time I'd gone to Israel and come back. And I'd really never thought about being a police officer. I mean, I'm an artist, right?